ability to work through emotionally charged circumstances and not experience emotional trauma is increased as a result of choosing a brave path, choosing to take on dangerous things physically or emotionally, or both, so that we can cultivate our ability to be brave and afraid at the same time. So in fear, we have three compartments, if you will, that are all interconnected. They're all part of the same feeling of perceived threat, causing us to realize we're not in a normal mundane moment here, where we're in some sort of danger. And of course, we have fight, we have attack, we have the associated emotion of anger, right? And what typically happens in the negative forms of this is displaced aggression, right? So when we have a high level of stress in our bodies, you're rushing, your kids are late for an appointment and you're trying to get them in the car and they're distracted and they're running all around and you're getting angry at them. Of course, you're just worried about your ego, right? Losing face is one of the things that we're terrified of. And so we have this thing in us that's causing our heart to go faster and our blood pressure to come up and our cortisol levels, right, the stress hormone to kick in. And as we plow faster and harder at it, we create more problems. So then we also have the flight, the escape instinct, right? And this is part of fear, but it feels different, distinctly different from the emotion of anger, from that fight instinct. Because when we are escaping, we're not necessarily solving the problem. Now, we're talking about getting chased by a bear and climbing up a tree. Well, by all means, go and run as fast as you possibly can and climb as high as you possibly can. And your body will be deeply prepared to do this, right? Now, is it capable of doing it carefully, skillfully, and with compassion for the people around us? Not necessarily, right? Because we all have heard of circumstances where people have run out of a stadium in a stampede and trampled other people and even killed them. So the ability to see outside of our unidirectional escape, which is not about where we're going as much as it is where we're coming from, right? And so we're not really using our visualization center to think through our best case scenario, right? We're not reaching for the best case scenario. We're trying to avoid the worst case scenario. That's a very, very different mindset. And when we look at a typical response on a societal level, this flight instinct causes us to reach for behaviors and chemicals that numb us and put us in a completely different place, where we're distracted, all right? Where we're doing things that put us in a completely different mindset, where we don't have to think about what we're afraid of. We're escaping by disengaging. Right? We're running away from our problems. You should be doing your homework. You're not doing your homework. You're watching TV, right? So this is a common, natural result of the flight instinct. Is it beneficial? Not necessarily, but it does come easily for us. And the third one is the most sort of insidious. This is the most dangerous one. The freeze instinct comes from our inner program that says, hide from the danger, don't move, breathe real quiet, and wait for the danger to go away. And the deer in the headlights, of course, doesn't necessarily avoid getting hit by the truck. That comes from running away. But if we freeze, and the cognition consequently freezes, we stop processing, we stop looking for answers. The best case scenario is nowhere in the house. As a matter of fact, no answer is anywhere in the house. And we now find ourselves stuck. And the feeling of stuckness is the basement of fear, right? It's the place where we feel helpless. When you ponder things about, for instance, you send your kids off to school and you hear about another school shooting, and you feel like there's nothing you can do to address this fear. This is freeze, right? Because you really have no action that can be taken. There is no escape unless you're going to pull the kids out of school and homeschool them, which some people have chosen to do. But we have not thought things really well and carefully. Now, of course, the appropriateness of our fear, the likelihood of the worst case scenario playing out is another matter. But here we are in this place of stuckness as a result of our appraisal of the situation. And we feel awful and we feel powerless. and it breaks down our bodies. Because when we stay in an elevated level of stress, an elevated level of worry, if we can't turn off that spinning wheel of worry, visualizing what we don't want repeatedly over and over and over and over, well, then we're going to find ourselves having a heart attack. We're going to have ourselves having a panic attack. We're going to have ourselves worrying to the point where we are completely impotent to solve our problems. So this is the danger of fear, is the freeze instinct more than anything else. So we have ways to solve our problems, even if they are low probability problems, but the real risk is when we become paralyzed and we stop thinking proactively, solution-oriented thought. And we find ourselves in this less than optimistic view of the world. And that's the real danger. So let's talk about what we can do to address the physiological and cognitive aspects of adrenaline. Right? I call it adrenaline management.
As long as you're having fun, well, do everything.
You can't open up your flower, so to speak, and really be in your body when you're scared. And so a big part of my approach in teaching has been addressing that part of it directly.
Okay.
Talk about it and give people skills, give people internal skills, but also physiological activities that help you to deal with your fear. And so for me, this has been very beneficial, as with all the adventure things that I do with my kids. It's not just skydiving. I take them to the wind tunnel and I say, this is dangerous. You need to listen. You need to do what you're told. If you're not doing what you're told, you don't get to do it. You want to go rock climbing up that big cliff and, I belay you, or better yet, you belay me. I've got my 9-year-old is starting to belay me on the rock. And earning my trust in him and his in me is what this is all about.